Righty. To preface this, I am sick, and all of the audio is being recorded on this computer right here. Of course, I'm filming on a laptop, using a laptop webcam, but nonetheless, I shall be. I'll reiterate it. I'm filming. I'm recording the voiceover separately with this mic. I'm sick, so my voice sounds terrible at the moment. Insufficient for voice acting, but I suppose it's okay enough. I wanted to explain my four dominance theory. It is this theory of society and history which exists in this sort of contingent, if it were. Here, let me read it out, but first, here is what I mean. Yes. So let me just read this out. Voice recorder, as I mentioned prior. I'll cut this out. This isn't useful. Okay. I'll give it a reading. Wonderful. A human is defined as a bipedal technical primate which has been constructed in the image of God, or some kind of transcendent divinity, with personal agency, which I emphasize, rationality, philosophy, sorry. Uh, I'm not the best at reading in some circumstances. Humanity exists in perpetual, non-linear, almost Spenglerian cycles of rise, decline, fall, secularization, religious revival, um, enlightenment, stagnation, war, peace, and all the others, with consistency in the progress of technology. I must clarify, technology exists beyond these intangibles, and uh, and as with entertainment and politics, which are tangible things, which exist fundamentally outside of my model. Of course, this is the preamble in which, the Spenglerian cycles of sort are, no, Spenglerian. They're not how they're supposed to be. It's not a part of my model. It's, I suppose, constituent in conceiving my model, but my model goes as follows. The four dominants of humanity are philosophy, religion, economy, and military. These are the four dominants, and these are the four ways in which history has struggled. Strife emerges due to an imbalance of these. Now, this is not applied to any fictional context, and so if one desires to draft a story in which this is not the case, they are very well to do so and focus on the intangibles, but in a intangible philosophical sense. Sorry. Society exists within these four contingents. These are also the four dominants of leadership and basically everything within society. You see, there's the leadership of a country, which could either be a philosophical one, an economic one. An economic one would be like Commonwealth Iceland. A philosophical one would be like Athens or Athens, um, prior to the Peloponnesian War. My goodness. Sorry, I'm sick. Um, and military one would be akin to uh, Genghis Khan's Mongol Empire, and religious one would be akin to the sovereign state of the Bektashi Order, or the Vatican, or the Papal States, or whatever. I'm not adverse to using such uh, outdated examples, but I digress. And so, what exists within these four dominants? Well, that's intentionally ambiguous. They are not to exist by themselves. They are often accompanied by each other, often in these sort of percentage charts. So you could have a leadership which is 80% religious. That would be a theocracy. With a little bit of focus, which would be like the Papal States. A little bit of focus on economy, a little bit of focus on things like public welfare. Well, actually, in the Papal States, a lot of focus on public welfare. But that's more due to the general Catholicism of the matter. You know what? Maybe I won't cut these bits in. I think it's better if I have it organic. Also, it's going to be too much labor. It would be laborious tedium to really cut up the audio clip. But I digress. And so, I feel it is better if we have this civilization. My goodness, I find it difficult, strenuous. I speak at the moment. Apologies. And so this model of civilization all exists within this model. It is involuntary. It's not a voluntary ideology or matter which can be controlled. It is unbound by the confines of human will and exists beyond us. It is the four dominants. They exist psychologically, implicitly. They do not exist tangibly. And so, one may say, oh, you lack free will. No, because there's free will in how one applies them. If one wishes to apply nothing short of absolute military dominance, Angmar style, then they can, I suppose. It's not a very good ideological position, but I suppose it exists. However, all of them, every dominant must be accompanied by some kind of philosophy, some kind of overbound philosophy. And so, you either have a military governance with the philosophy of control and despotism, or you have some kind of economy government, something like the Republic of Kospaya, which is under the philosophy of, I suppose Kospaya was under the philosophy of mere happenstance, but we'll say in an intentional economic government, we'll say it's a state of freedom, like a libertarian society. Of course, I myself am paleo-libertarian, but nonetheless. And so, with that, it is sort of necessary to apply a philosophy lest it be pure military, pure economy, pure religion, at which point you don't have any reason to exist, and it is philosophically unsound. Because there are two types of philosophies. There's philosophy as in a government ruled by philosophers, hence the philosophy dominant or ideology dominant. I suppose it would be better if I replaced philosophy with ideology, but nonetheless, of an idiocracy. Not Idiocracy, which is a good movie, but an idiocracy, a government of ideology. And so, with that, there's the philosophy. And the philosophy is where we derive meaning and sort of a reason for our governance, so it is not a superfluous apparatus which exists as a sort of self-serving machine which oils itself. That is not sound, and that would be unstable, because without the veneer of public welfare, then the state shall collapse, which is why Panem kind of sucks in the Hunger Games, which I dislike. And so, with that, uh, the four dominants. Well, the reason why this matters is because the four dominants are implicit, and it's better to learn essentially how to master them rather than essentially fight them. And I suppose this is a repudiation of the Marxist theory of history and a repudiation of any kind of materialism, as I am fundamentally anti-positivist. I am opposed to the notion that presupposes the non-existence of metaphysics. Metaphysics are vital for civilization. Metaphysics are vital for human understanding. Metaphysics are everything. They exist. We exist within them, but we cannot live within them. Our internal humanity exists within the metaphysical realm, um, which is why some may say, such as Michael Knowles, a great Western philosopher, says that that man exists at the center of the universe, not in a geocentric way, more so in a metaphysical sense. Man exists at the center of the universe, being the only life form. Of course, he further presupposes the non-existence of aliens, which I fundamentally agree with. This is not merely concession, I agree. From a philosophical perspective, I in the similar sense to how Pythagoras concluded the earth was round, I say aliens do not exist, as it would be counterproductive, I suppose, to really try to believe aliens exist, because if aliens exist, that entails the universe is not a breadbasket for humanity, but is rather a competitive environment such as we have on Earth. And if Earth is truly so flawed, I see no reason why we wouldn't want the universe itself to be barren, to be a barren entity, which is why I subscribe, to the belief that the universe is barren, that the universe is merely a breadbasket. It is the buffet, it is the charcuterie board for America, for not America. No, I don't imagine that America would exist beyond a certain point. I imagine, again, Spenglerian cycles, but nonetheless, for humanity. But I suppose Freudian slip. Humanity and America could be. I suppose it's interchangeable if America became enlarged enough, encompassed enough territory. I feel it would be a sufficient title. But of course it isn't at the moment. Although some say it is, some very foolish people say it is. But nonetheless, I greatly dislike notions of positivism. I find that any attempted metaphysical repudiation or refuting metaphysics is it's fruitless, because it is fundamentally a materialist perspective, and materialism, historical materialism, is nonsensical. That's about as much as I can. Well, it's not as much as I can say about it, but it'd be a microcosm of things. Historical materialism is so wrong because it is far too simplistic. It presupposes a dichotomy between the workers and the ruling class, and it it does not adhere to traditional definitions, which is wrong, because it says, oh, the Soviet Union can't be imperialist, the Soviet Union can't be conquestalist, because, oh, they're liberating. But that fundamentally denies the initial definitions. That's the thing about Marxism. It's just this game of semantics, like the sovereign citizen movement, and it is silly. It's fundamentally silly, because I don't think anybody would say that Genghis Khan was the bourgeois. Was bourgeois. I mean, literally just a barbarian emperor who held nothing for himself, and everything was static. I don't, but I suppose that's the historical materialist perspective, that Genghis Khan was not an imperialist nor a conquestalist. Don't believe your lying eyes, I suppose, because literally imperializing, conquering, what else would that be? Conquering and subjugating, what else would that be beyond imperialism? It's nonsense. I think that, they are just denying traditional definitions. And I feel that's very counterproductive to any good philosophical discussion, as their heads are so cavernous. It's counterproductive because, well, how can we have a proper philosophical discussion if they aren't going to engage in traditional definitions? And so, sorry, I'm a bit scatterbrained at the moment. It's the morning, and I'm not a very coherent person. A lot of my speeches are meandering. But I suppose this is not terrible. Oh, my headphones are going off because I'm wearing headphones. Sorry. Excuse me. That's what I'm watching. I was watching it before this. So, yeah, that is ultimately my philosophy of the four dominants. If there's anything I must elaborate upon, let me know. I'd love to speak on it. I have a whole document of sayings, aphorisms, really, which I may defer to and expand upon, elaborating upon my menagerie of subject matter I have covered, from theology and cosmology, sociology, etc. I am the greatest philosopher in the Western world at the moment, and I conclude with it. Yang Fan believes he is the greatest philosopher, but I am above. Anywho, thank you for watching.